The Seattle Sounders' brand new 2025 kit is here. Inspired by two traditional Southern Coast Salish weaving techniques, twilling and twinning. These techniques, passed down through generations, honor the resilience, deep-rooted ties, and creativity that define the cultural fabric of this region. The striking deep blue jersey will be worn by the Sounders for the next 2 seasons to honor the club's deep connection with the Puget Sound and shared responsibility as stewards of the greater Salish Sea watershed. Backing up that commitment, the Seattle Sounders will donate up to $50,000 to benefit community charities around the Puget Sound region. To get your very own Salish Sea kit, visit lobbingscorchers.com/kit. That's lobbingscorchers.com/KIT. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Post-Match Reactions. We are live from Portland, Oregon in a beautiful hotel, the Paramount in Portland. We're looking out at a beautiful wall, a great wall.
It's a very scenic view of the Hilton next door.
We've got a great view of some MF Doom graffiti. And yeah, the Hilton, which the N is currently not illuminating. But yeah, last night we made the trek down to the city that they call Portland, Oregon. And that's that. We watched the Sounders compete in a 1-1 draw at Providence Park. Some may say it was boring. Some may say it was exciting. We'll get all into that with our call-ins today. I wanted to start out maybe with, we could each give a few thoughts on the trip down, as well as Providence Park, and just generally how we're feeling about this match. Ari, how you doing?
I'm good. I think overall for us, it was a successful first Lobbing Scorcher. Oh, I guess we did the Lobbing Scorchers road trip for the LA playoff game last year.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is the first one we've done for an MLS game since we really kicked the content into high gear with the live shows and the vlogging. We got a lot of great footage that we're going to throw together in another little mini doc like the one we made for the Open Cup. So excited for you guys to see that once we've got it all edited up and ready to release. But yeah, I guess let's just talk about the game itself to start it off here as we wait for people to trickle in. And I guess I'll just start with what we were talking about when we were filming our post-match reaction for the vlog, which is that I feel like ordinarily a 1-1 draw in a Cascadia derby like this when you're on the road is a pretty good result. Pretty good result. I think this one doesn't feel like a draw that feels like a win for 2 reasons. Number one, because they were actually in pretty good position to win this game. Anytime you get the first goal in a derby match, you put yourself in at least a spot where a point becomes very, very attainable, and 3 points actually is also attainable. So the fact that they could not quite maintain that lead felt a little disappointing. And then I also think with how big of a debacle the LAFC midweek match was, all 3 points here would have been a good psychological boost, but it also would have validated the decision to rotate as much as they did at LAFC.
Yeah.
So the fact that they only come out of this with a draw, it doesn't like ease the sting of the LAFC debacle as much as a win would have. But in terms of just the result itself, a road point at Portland, I don't think that's the worst thing at all. And in terms of the performance, I thought there was, we always do positives and negatives.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was both, but I do think there were some positives in the performance. I felt like on the attacking end, they held their own. The chance generation was not what it was during that 5-match unbeaten run, where it was just off the charts, and it felt like every time they were on the ball for certain stretches of time, it was leading to a high quality look. They weren't able to replicate that, but they do get a really nice goal from Albert Rusnak, which I believe actually counts. We were debating if it counts. I think it does.
Does it count?
I think it does because it's a quote unquote big game. Yep. Right. That was a big game.
Yeah, I think so.
Big game at Portland. And also Portland's pretty good this year. They're high up on the table. They're like top 3 whatever in the West right now. So that is a goal, and it was from open play, not a PK, not a set piece.
It wasn't a merchant goal.
Can anyone in chat explain why that one wouldn't count? I mean, we're just trying to figure it out, but I think we got an Albert Rusnak goal that counted, a Moose assist, which is nice to see. Moose continues to do good work. The whole sequence on the goal I thought was great. The pass by Christian Roldan to hit Moose there, excellent. I thought Christian had a really good game overall. So a good goal. But then I think the disappointing thing about the equalizer is that 10-minute period after you score in that scenario. That's like, if you can just make it through that, you can just make it through that, you give yourself a much better chance of actually winning the game. And that danger zone right after they scored, they couldn't make it out of that without Portland getting on top of them and eventually getting, I think the chance that Santiago Moreno scored was the best chance either team had throughout the entire game. So a mixed bag overall, but if we're talking about result and performance, I thought it was pretty good. And at the end of with the dust settled, you get out of this road trip with a 1-1-1, which is not amazing, but also not terrible. So that's where my head's at the moment. Noah, what about you?
I feel the same. I thought it was a predictable match in a way. Before the game kicked off, I had said this is going to be a 2-2. This is going to be a beautiful 1-1 draw against a team, and it's going to be frustrating. And we'll get some goals, but it's not going to be everything that everyone wants. You always want to dominate Portland away, but it's a really tough task when you've just played in LA, and I don't know. It's just like I don't know. Maybe you can speak to this more, but I hated the fact that we had to play a midweek game before a Timbers game, and it essentially, like, both of the LA games that we played were
you can't take much from them for either for either team. Like, Seattle won the first one big, but you could caveat that with that LAFC was rotated. LAFC wins the second game big, but you could just as easily caveat that with how much Seattle was rotated.
Which,
we really have no concept at all how LAFC and Seattle match up. And also, it's just like going into rivalry week, ideally, I would think you should want the teams to be able to be as full strength as possible, or at least not. It just felt like the LAFC game was just like a punt, and you can debate the whether they should have handled it like that, but I can see why that the coaching staff chose to do that, because this Portland game, you need all hands on deck, right? So
you don't want to get embarrassed by Phil Neville and the Portland Timbies.
The scheduling thing was it's a little tilting, just because it felt like that LAFC game was just pointless. Like, why even play that?
Why
game?
even play that game? And then, like, on top of that, it was weird because that is a big rivalry. That's a big game in general, like Sounders versus LAFC. It gets people to go. Just wasting it on a midweek matchup for no reason. Like, dude, give us like San Jose on a midweek. Like, no one gives a shit about that, And I don't know. This game was, to be completely fair with you, like, I have not gone back and rewatched the first half, which I need to do, because I legitimately was filming the entire
getting footage.
First half. I got the first goal on video, which is going to be in the doc, and it'll be sick. Like, it was a really good shot, but it's really hard to like gauge the actual play of the first half. And I felt like there was way more like going on in that first half. And something that Albert Rusnak said in the presser, he said, in MLS, sorry, texting. Someone said Albert Rusnak said in the presser that the game opens up in the second half in MLS, like, very often. And it did feel like that. Like, this game did feel like there could have been 3 or 4 more goals, I think maybe for even either team in that second half. And I do think that, like, it felt bad that the Sounders weren't able to capitalize on that. So while to me it doesn't feel like points lost, because getting a draw in Portland is difficult, and for 4 points in 3 games, I'm happy with that. We both said that we would be happy with that.
That's probably the toughest like stretch of road games they're going to have to play all season. When you combine the congestion with the
you go to Houston,
with the opponents.
You go to Houston, always a tough place to play, and then fly to LA and then go to Portland. Like, that's crazy.
The degree of difficulty on
that
trip. The degree of difficulty on that swing is quite high. That's why I said going into it that 1-1-1, which is what they ended up with. I wouldn't have been thrilled about it, but I wouldn't be crashing out about it. And that's pretty much how I feel. I think just the sort of cloud over it is just how much the LAFC game went off the rails. Like, if honestly, if that LAFC game had been more competitive and they lost like 1-0, 2-1, 2-0 or something like that, which to be fair was pretty close to how it was looking like it was going to go until it got away late. But if that had been the situation, I think I'd be feeling like a lot better about this road trip just because of how chalked the situation was going into LAFC. But like, I think it can both be true that result sort of is a cloud over the road trip, but that also the final result that they're coming out of it with points wise and then performance wise. The performance in Houston was excellent. I mean, you can't play a road game much better than that. I think that's another like disappointing thing though, is that they started the road trip off in a way where they gave themselves a chance to like really get a fantastic haul from the trip. And with the LAFC game going off the rails and then not being able to see out the and they were not quite they just weren't able to do that. But if we're looking at just the point haul overall, I think it's fine. It's not terrible.
Let's hit some chats here before we jump in. I want to watch the Brian Schmetzer presser. I think he had a lot of interesting things to say about this match and just in general the road trip, so we can do some reactions on that. Our calls are open, so if you do want to call into the show, as always, that link is pinned. Call in, lob your Scorchers, tell us you were dumb, we have the worst takes, or tell us that you had a great time and enjoyed the match. If you were live in Portland, if you were here, we would love to hear from you. But let's jump into some of these chats real quick. Zippy Tuna says, who had Gressel scoring for Minnesota before Ferreira scored for us? He's done other stuff well, though.
I mean, there's a lot of funny stats up this way if we want to go down the list. I mean, we got Nuhu with more goals. Jesus Ferreira.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to talk about do a little Ferreira discourse before we do the presser? Because I think that is one of the things that you could debate regarding the starting 11, which is that, I mean, we've talked a lot about how when they run it with Albert Rusnak and Jesus Ferreira as either dual 10s, or maybe you think of it more as Rusnak central and Ferreira as more of a winger. But that has not looked super great. And I don't think I would have predicted that they would run that to start the game. I would have predicted that you would have De La Vega in that spot or Rothrock in that spot with Ferreira coming off the bench. They choose to run it to start. And I think we were both a little skeptical. Maybe you more than me.
Yeah, you'll see in the vlog my reaction to that choice.
But I've been saying also that I do think that we're still at a point in the season where you need to at least try running that in some games. This game was a big game to bust it out. I think it's a big show of faith in Ferreira. And, Ferreira individually, I didn't think it was super amazing, but I did think that it seem like they were less kind of getting in each other's stuff, at least. Like, it felt like Ferreira was actually playing a different role. So that was one thing. And then I thought I'm also judging it like on how the offense ran as a whole, more than just like what each guy did individually. And if you're thinking of it through that lens, I thought the attacking performance in this game, there was some good stuff like with Ferreira involved and a part of it. And they got a goal out of it in the first half hour of the game at Portland, which is not necessarily easy to do. So I think this was probably the best that setup has looked. But if we're assessing Ferreira's performance individually, it's not like he was, lighting it on fire, and he still doesn't look particularly close to scoring a goal himself. So I think there's still clearly like a lot more that needs to be done for that to be ran as like a legitimate option, like to full effect. But I don't know. Do you think it's fair to say that this was at least progress with that, even if it was incremental?
I think that I'm almost on the other end of where you are with it. I think that his performance of not stepping on the heels of Albert Rusnak at the same time kind of neutered his own ability, if that makes sense. Like, I think that he was not detrimental to the game in any way, which you can look at that as a positive, especially when he's playing with Albert Rusnak. But I don't think that he made any kind of impact on this match, like at all. And I think that that's a challenge when you have a player out there who you really do want to get into form. Like, I want Jesus Ferreira to be playing well. I want him to feel good and I want him to feel confident. And it does feel like a little bit of a shoehorn of like, well, we need to get our best 11 on paper out there. And that's what it felt like. It felt like, you know, you have too much talent to be sitting him on the bench, but he's not necessarily performing in a winger role and he's not necessarily performing in a 9 role. And I'm sorry, Albert Rusnak is not the guy who you want to sit on the bench for this game. And it shows because he scored this goal, right? Like, he is a DP. He is your DP. He is who you trust. And at the end of the day, I don't know if he's more talented than Ferreira, but he's definitely more informed than Ferreira. And so you have to take that into account, right? And I just, the way that I see it is like, while there are positives, absolutely, you can take things away from it. It's just not he's not a winger. He is a 10. I think at this point in his career, he's established he's a 10. Can he establish something different? Maybe that he's a 9 or that he can start scoring, maybe, but it's just not it's not working right now. And I feel for the guy and I want him to figure it out, but Ari, I don't think that was the right selection at that position when you had a player like Rothrock, when you saw him come on and immediately make an impact and fight and be a dog in this game. I mean, he's a guy who loves this kind of rivalry. This is a match made for him, and to not start him, I think was a challenge. And the other thing, that this is hindsight 2020, and this is not about Ferreira, but someone who I wanted to talk about next. But I'll just wait on that. I'll let you respond to all of the yapping that I just did.
I agree that I would have liked to see Rothrock start in this game for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned. I thought that I think that he is a player who, like, you could see as soon as he came on, he was thriving on just like the chippiness and the intensity of it. So I mean, there's that aspect of it. But pretty close after he came on, right? They hit him with that ball over the top, and that was a great look. I think that's sort of when I'm thinking about how the offense performed in this game, I thought there was some good stuff in the buildup and good stuff on the counter. But they weren't able to get like the quality of chances that they were generating over that run where they won 4 out of 5 was just fantastic. Like, it felt like every chance was like just a super great look, and they have not been able to do that the last 2 games. The LAFC game, I mean, it's whatever.
Chalked. It's fine.
It was chalked. But this game, I would have hoped to seen a little more high quality chance generation. But I do think there are some positives in what we saw in the buildup. And also, I think the game plan was good in that we always talk about going into these games that the Portland Timbies, you know, they are going to play this game like it's the last game of soccer that they've ever played. They just almost lost to an MLS Next Pro side with an average age of 16.5. They were not going to be particularly happy about that.
No.
So they were going to come out firing in this game like they always do at home, like they always do against Seattle.
And Philly Nevs wants it.
Yeah. So I thought that they did pretty well to absorb that early pressure and weather the storm, so to speak. And you just have to make it out of that first 20-30 minutes without conceding. That's really it. Like, you're going to have to absorb some pressure. They're probably going to have a couple of chances. You're probably going to have a couple nervy moments. You need to be able to get through that without conceding. So they were able to do that. And then I loved what I saw from them to get through that and then get the first goal. So I think all that was good. I don't really even know where I was going with all this, but
just final thoughts on Ferreira, I guess.
Okay, final thoughts on Ferreira. I still think it didn't look super great, but
not ready to give up yet.
I mean, no. I mean, like, there's no giving up.
You didn't give up on Pedro after last year. You're not giving up on Ferreira yet.
When you still got 2/3 of the season to go, like you can't. I mean, you literally can't. No. Like if you're speaking from the team perspective. No. But look, if what we're dealing with is just needing to see incremental progress, one of my biggest complaints was that like earlier in the season with this was that we weren't seeing incremental progress. It kind of felt like Groundhog Day, game in, game out. I think it's still been uneven, but there are data points that we can look at that were more positive, like his performance in the Nashville game. So I think that type of stuff is still in there. They just need to figure out how to unlock it regularly, but they were not quite able to do that in this game. But I guess to get back to my other point, like I'm trying to judge it on how the attack functions as a whole, as much as I'm trying to judge not just Ferreira, but any player individually, right?
Yeah.
So I think even if it wasn't where it needs to be yet, they still had a decent attacking showing with that lineup. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's cope. Maybe that's rationalizing. But I think it is something. It's not like it wasn't like a total disaster.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a joke.
Well, we got
that might be a low bar, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
We'll take what we can get. We have a friend of the pod, Jeremy Peterman, calling in. Friend of the press box too. He helped us navigate all things Portland Timbies, and talked some shit in the press box, which I am always a fan of. I am pro talking shit.
We're
to
pro
each other
banter on this show.
Yeah, like you need to have a chirper in the press box with you. Like it's honestly, it makes it so much better. Jeremy, give us a thumbs up if you're ready to pop on, and we will add you to the stage here.
If anyone else also wants to come on and lay down some takes.
There we go. That works. How are we doing, Jeremy?
Oh, we are still grappling with how to feel about that game, to be honest.
I feel that.
Yeah. I feel like, first of all, on balance of play, I wouldn't say balance of chances, but on balance of play, should have been a Sounders victory. So I will happily take the point, even though I'm not very happy about it.
Yeah, so, Brian Schmetzer was saying in the post-match that they thought that, Phil started to sit his team back to try and troll the draw towards the end, and that they have to feel like that's a little bit of a moral victory, even though he said there are no moral victories. Is that kind of what you're mentioning here?
I don't think they really started to play for that draw at any point. I think it was more so that they just couldn't get anything going on the attacking end. And I thought Neville got a little bit cowardly with his substitutions.
Ooh.
I don't like saying that.
Yeah, share about that.
But everyone was thinking, I'm sure you guys were thinking, when is Jonathan Rodriguez going to come into this game? Ignore the background noise.
I think that, yeah.
My cat's currently destroying a brown paper bag, as she loves to do.
Well, you better show it. We got to see her.
Jeremy,
now.
Put the cat on.
Put the cat on the pod.
Can you get Bonald real quick? I'm just telling my girlfriend to go get Bonald, who is my sweet baby, my angel.
Oh, this is a pro cat podcast.
We're a pro cat pod.
Everywhere should be pro cat.
Everywhere should be pro cat, and that's just the facts of life.
All right, we're getting the other one. This is
let's go.
That is an adorable kitty.
Let's go.
She is a demon. Do not let that face betray her. She thinks she's a god, and yeah, she is a god. My girlfriend just confirmed it. But yeah. So I'm sure everyone was thinking about when Jonathan Rodriguez was going to come off the bench. He was going to be the big difference maker. For me, however, I was thinking, when is Omir Fernandez going to get into this game? I don't think there's been a single more impactful attacking sub for the Timbers since Fernandez arrived on I think it was a day before the primary transfer window closed.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's going to be the new goddamn Espria, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be the new Espria, but I do think he's going to be the most impactful attacking sub, purely because he can play anywhere across that front three aside from up top as a striker. And that's what the Timbers were desperately missing last night. They were missing a winger, particularly in that second half, who was willing to control that game. And Santiago Moreno, he's played a lot of football this week. I think he went full 90 against SKC. He went full 90 against RSL. And he nearly went the full 90 in this game before he got subbed off due to the concussion sub for Omir Fernandez in the 90th minute, mind you. So I think that taking Antony off was the right choice. I think replacing him with Jonathan Rodriguez and putting Rodriguez out at the wing spot was a bit of a waste because Rodriguez dealt with an injury, played through that injury for so much of last season, ended up being the team's top goal scorer on top of that. But he's only been making substitute appearances throughout this year. And I was really concerned, like, when is he actually going to get to start a game? I thought yesterday was going to be that chance he was actually going to get to start because Neville alluded to it after the Salt Lake game. He said he's very much in contention to start. But one thing Phil Neville loves to do that I absolutely respect is lie his ass off in front of a camera when there's a microphone in front of him.
Yeah, him and Brian are like locked in on that.
Had that tendency at times as well. Yeah.
No, his favorite thing to do is lie to every reporter at training and then an hour later go on sports talk radio and say the correct information. It's actually like his favorite thing ever. And
it's a decent bit.
It's a good bit. Like I respect it. And he's, like the club gets money from that partnership, so he's just milking it, dude. I respect it. Lobbing Scorchers someday, though. Maybe we can bribe the club into giving us real information. But yeah, I mean, I want to know too. You've been to probably a lot of Sounders Timbers rivalry games. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be one for the history books. It's not going to be a very memorable one. But did this one feel venomous? Maybe this is a football's gone woke take, but like I feel like there just wasn't as much venom until Paul Rothrock came on the field, and then Paul Rothrock was trying to stir some shit up
immediately.
Immediately.
Well, here's the thing. So I think if you're going to talk about the venom in this game, I would like to talk about the crowd first because the crowd's certainly venomous.
It was great. That was a great atmosphere.
Very good. Yeah. I couldn't hear most of the traveling supporters for most of the game. I heard them for Rusnak's goal, and I think I heard them like when they did like the Seattle Sounders, the one that like flashes on the stadium, like when you're at Lumen because you guys have to play your chants like on the video board.
All right, Jeremy. All right.
Okay, but yeah, I thought the crowd was doing a great job of getting into it. The problem was, though, and the reason why I think this game will kind of not go down the history books aside from the result, is that they put this at the end of a 3-match week.
Yes, we were just talking about that.
Yes, which I fully agree with you. It's such nonsense. And especially from a Seattle perspective, which I'm going to take here, this is your third road game in a row during this week. You had
Houston, LA. Yeah,
Texas, then LA, then back. Like I guess somewhat back to Seattle before the most manageable road trip of the year, which is it Portland or is it Vancouver? I can't really tell.
I think they're equidistant, pretty close. But Vancouver's harder because you're going international. There's just more steps.
The squad hasn't been in the city of Seattle in a month and a half.
Yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous.
I talked to Ryan Kent in the locker room after as well because this is his first time in a league where there's this much travel. Right? He's used to Europe. He's used to. I mean, Turkey played in Champions League and stuff like that, but he was like, I have never in my life traveled this much and still had to play. And he was like, I did not play well because of it. He's like, this is something so new to me, and this league is intense, like for that travel reason, and like getting used to that has been hard. So I agree. Like, dude, why is Major League Soccer doing this? And then on top of it, they got their stupid MLS TV talent saying that this rivalry is barely top 5.
I don't get it. And I feel like the way this rivalry doesn't like, it does get like outright disrespected like that, but the way the schedule has been made, it really is like sticking. I will forever have beef with them sticking that Lumen game, which was, keep in mind, the only visit the Timbers made to Lumen last year.
Yeah. Throughout
like 3 years of the balanced schedule or the unbalanced schedule where we had to play each other 3 times, they stuck it on decision day. Like, why would you do that? Of all days, it's so stupid. So stupid. But I think a lot of those tired legs had to do with it, even though both teams had players who didn't play midweek or didn't play as much midweek. But in terms of the Seattle aspect, it's just all that travel too weighing down on the team. Like João Paulo doesn't even travel. Other players, I think, were left out. I don't remember like the exact differences between each the LA lineup in yesterday's lineup, aside from Ferreira on the wing, which for one I am a fan of. But
why are you a fan, Jeremy? Why are you a fan of that?
I honestly thought he looked like pretty effective, but he was also completely withdrawn from the box. And I always think it's hilarious when there's a guy who has number 9 on his jersey who doesn't really
out there on the wing, like cooking in crosses.
Yeah, just chucking in crosses, making
just playing Schmetzer ball.
Yeah, Schmetzer having his right wingers, like when he was playing Christian Roldan as a right winger, I thought was the funniest thing.
It actually worked low key for a while. They ended that experiment, but there was a brief period of time there where we were actually like,
we're pro
this. This looks like it works.
In the presser, he actually mentioned that last night. He was like, "Yeah, Christian will probably end his career at this defensive mid position. He's just been actually like really good." But
then they moved him back, and I was like, "Okay, this is actually."
And then he was like, "Yeah, better. For a while, I really thought he was going to be a winger. It's really, But I guess he's good now. No, it's just like.
But he wasn't even like he wasn't even like a winger. He was like that Schmetzer right winger, which is only a Schmetzer position because he cuts inside and he tries to basically act like a second 10 while his brother just runs up and down the field. Who, by the way, Alex Roldan, give him his flowers. He had a fantastic.
Dude, he's incredible.
He's been in good form.
That was really good from him. That was really, really good. He was infuriating me the entire game. I was like, how is he making all these recovery runs so deep in the game? But once again, he didn't play midweek, so he was one of the fresher players on the roster. I'm more inclined to believe that result, while disappointing for both teams, is also just like, I guess, fair based on the balance of play, because mostly one team had Finn Sermon, the other one didn't. And the Timbers actually created the best chance of the night, but it was their only chance, and it was their only shot on goal, and they scored. I think they scored their only shot on goal in that decision day game too. That was like a better chance because Anthony just ran through the entire defense, put Nuhu on his ass. So I'm very okay with taking a point away. But I hate this congested schedule in May.
We're fully with you on that. Yeah, from a Seattle perspective, defensively, if you told me, I really didn't have much of an expectation that they were going to shut out the Timbies at Providence. I honestly figured the Portland would probably get at least 2. So holding Portland to 1, but also like if they had held them to 1, but were under it the whole game and conceding like chance after chance after chance, I wouldn't have been happy about that. But holding Portland to 4 shots at Providence and 1 goal, I think I would have taken that if you told me that was going to be the output before the game. I mean, Jeremy, I guess you obviously watch this team more than anybody, and the Timbies have been scoring a lot of goals.
There's not that many people that watch them too, so it's like you're the foremost expert.
The foremost expert. They've been scoring a lot of goals this year. Did you think like Seattle did anything differently defensively than anyone else has done, or was it more about just kind of both teams with heavy legs in this fixture congestion, or how did you kind of size that up?
I think there were 4 players on the Sounders who really upped their game defensively and really just made it difficult for Portland. Alex Roldan's actually not one of them, but it was both center backs, Yamar and Kim. Even though Yamar had a couple shaky moments, he was really good at stepping out and picking his moments to step out from the back line. Same thing with Kim. They basically added like an extra layer of pressure in an area where the Timbers usually expect center backs to retreat, and they expect to have time on the ball there. Usually Felipe Mora does, Santiago Moreno does, David DaCosta really does too. And then also Christian Roldan, who is the villain in the rivalry, I'll say it again, and Obed Vargas, who made quite a meal out of that Ayala challenge, but since he's only 19, it was
that should have been a red card.
Should have been a red. Well, you know who taught him how to flop?
The flop goat,
Nico Ladero. Like he legitimately
he gave him flopping lessons.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I hate it.
It's awesome.
It's nice.
He's about to go play in La Liga and be a $100 million player, and he's gonna always remember the Timbers rivalry, which I love. I wanted to talk about Christian Roldan, the villain of this entire rivalry forever and ever, but you said something to me in the press box that I wanted you to share again about his pass that he played to set up the Sounders goal.
Unbelievable pass. Absolutely unbelievable pass. It is so annoying watching him be good at every single position that he plays. That's what makes him so infuriating to me. Like Ladero, I hated him because he dove all the time. I hated him because he was pretty productive. Rui Diaz, ironically, I grew to respect a little bit because he woke up for this rivalry and he knew how important it was. And you have to respect a player that just understands the stakes of this game, no matter which side they're on. I don't think Dairon Asprilla has entered that level of respect for you, but I think he's certainly a contender for it.
I don't know. He's a villain.
That guy still haunts my nightmares.
He does.
Yeah.
He was
because
cash, dude.
For him, it isn't so much like, for example, Raul Rui Diaz never beat the Timbers at home. He never did that, which I love. But he also terrorized us at Providence Park for years. So I think it kind of cancels each other out.
Why didn't you guys sign him? He was a free agent. He knows how to score goals there.
Rui Diaz wasn't on the team for 6-2?
No, he was. He scored that free kick in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was nuts in that game. I think I applauded for one of those goals. I think it was the Madronda one because I was like, okay, just not our day today.
The Jimmy Madronda. Dude, I miss Jimmy
not
bangers.
Our day. No,
that was one of my favorite Sounders goals ever, the Jimmy banger.
Jimmy bangers, the best thing about him was when I worked for Sporting Kansas City, and like he immediately, like when I left Sporting after my internship, he immediately came to the Sounders, and I was just like, dude, this rocks. I love this guy. Just like the nicest dude you'll ever meet in your life. And then the fact that the only goals he would score for the Sounders were just worldies, I was like, dude, how could you not love this guy? He was talk about guys. We like to just name guys sometimes.
We talk about Brad Smith and Jovan Jones a lot, but we probably could spare more of mentions for Jimmy Bangers.
What is this place called again? We got Bowery this morning.
Oh, those are good.
This is banging. You should try.
I haven't dove in yet.
That was a good choice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got no one else in the queue right now. So, Jeremy, if you got any other takes or narratives, go for it.
I was thinking more about just like how this was the first draw at Providence between these teams since 2017 when Dempsey got that late winner after the red card. And that felt like a loss. This game feels like an absolute draw. And there aren't many draws that feel like that, especially in this rivalry. Like I love saying that whenever the Timbers go up to Lumen and they draw, it's like a win. Usually because there's always nonsense that happens in that game that makes me laugh really hard. In this game, I don't really think there was anything that made me laugh on either side except just the easiness of Moreno's goal. And then just Finn Sermon, who made me cackle a couple times, especially during that sequence at the end of the game where he just made clearance after clearance in like a span of 10 seconds. Oh my God, he's such a player. But I'm really excited mostly for just the development of Ryan Kent as the perfect Sounders winger because of how directly indirect he is. He had a ton of chances to just drive at Juan Mosquera, play a direct pass right in, create a big attacking chance, and he chose to sit back on the ball and let most of the defense recover. I don't know how much of that was fatigue related. I know Noah alluded to that earlier.
Said he was he looked
he was
like
not,
he should not have started.
He was not on his because there was a couple of those plays like you mentioned where he might have had a chance to take a guy on and then ended up recycling it, and then he also got dispossessed like a lot more than we have seen so far. So I also
think the Timby's game planning against him, knowing that he was
I was
going to
say
they honestly I have to give them props for that.
I got to give them credit.
Well.
They clearly watched their film. They clearly were like 77 is just not where if he looks like he's getting isolated, most of the times we're gonna send like one or two other guys over there, and then maybe his decision making could have been a little bit better in a couple of those moments where he was you know what he looked like was, you know how Denny Bwanga this year has just been like, whenever he's isolated like that and they send two guys at him, he just is like, I'm gonna charge at them anyway, and then he loses the ball. That happened a few times.
The ad board and then punches a ball into the stands and won't do a front flip and all that.
I thought the Timbies did a good job on Ryan Kent, and What else were we talking about there?
I don't know, Ryan, Kent.
On the topic of like the draw that it feels like a win or loss or whatever, like I think ordinarily if Seattle draws at Portland, depending on the circumstances, I usually consider that a good to really good result. But we were talking at the top of the show, like this isn't a draw that feels like a win for Seattle. One, because they were ahead, and two, because they needed to win this game to fully absolve themselves of what happened at LAFC. So the fact they can do that, it's definitely not a draw that feels like a win to me, but it's also not one that feels like a loss, because I think a Cascadia draw on the road, unless there's a situation on the table where you like really need all 3 points, a Cascadia draw on the road is never like the worst thing. So
yeah, especially at the end of a 3-match week too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, I do have some words about Paul Rothrock because he did move to center forward in this game. Which I
asked Brian about this because I was like, I asked in a roundabout way because he hates when you ask him direct. He wants to be able to say what he wants to say, and so I asked him. I said, you made an interesting decision to add another winger. You pulled off Danny Musovski, a target 9. I don't really know who you moved to the 9. It felt like Paul Rothrock, but I would love to hear what your thought process was there. And he was like, yeah, we thought that the matchup with Georgie was just like really good. And we know that Paul is like a veteran guy. I don't know if he said veteran or whatever, but he said something about being he's been playing well, right? And he thought that was just the right move there. And clearly, I don't think he rated Osaze for this match, which I think honestly was a good choice because Osaze has been doing a lot of dumb fouls.
Well, it's also like a player who's barely played in MLS to put him in a derby game like that would be asking a lot.
Yeah,
I felt like it was asking a lot for him to make an impact on the LAFC game. So this would have been an even taller order.
But yeah, back to that. Like, I think it seemed like he really wanted to get Georgie involved in this game because they felt that matchup on that left side, right side, whatever it was, left side, was really good. And I think that was like not wrong, especially with tired legs. But there was no one in the box for service. Rothrock was just not. His hold-up play in that position is just not as developed yet. And also, when you sub on and play a winger and you're already in that mindset, and then you're immediately like, oh yeah, just go switch to the 9. In a 9 position where Danny Musovski has some of the best hold-up play that I've seen on this team ever. Like, I don't know, maybe that's crazy to say. Like
since Billy Bruin.
Like, yeah. Like he's just, that's his thing. And Rothrock was totally opposite. He was just hyper mobile. Kind of looked like Ferreira when he was playing the 9 for Seattle.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Also, I believe Rothrock is a professional clip farmer too. I keep on seeing
definitely.
that.
Have you seen his YouTube?
I have not seen his YouTube. He has a YouTube.
He self-posted highlights.
He posts. He's a poster.
Oh my god, I love that.
He's the GOAT. We love Paulie Primetime, dude. He's, oh my god. But he got up for the rivalry, man. Like, do you think there was any Timbies players that really got up for the rivalry like that?
Juan Mosquera always does.
Fair enough.
And he had Kent in his pocket for that entire time he was on the field. I think Jimmer Forey, who made his first start in this rivalry, I think he was awake for it.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Yeah, tell us more about him.
I saw that guy and he was like bopping around, making like his presence felt. And I was like, I don't know if I know who that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he was signed this past offseason from Colombia. And the Timbers had a few international signings. They had João Ortiz. They had Kevin Kelsey. No one got me out of my seat faster than when Tom Bogert tweeted about Jimmer Forey being official. Now, I was told by a team official that they were looking to bring in another defender. I didn't know which position. When I saw that it was a left back, and then I immediately looked him up on Transfermarkt, I see 6'2" and 22 years old, Colombian. I'm all the way bought in already. And then I look at FB Ref and I see he's winning like 70% of his aerial duels, which I mean, I like Claudio Bravo. I know what he's been able to do for this team. He has some very, very unique strengths, but he also has some very debilitating weaknesses. One of those in particular is defending the back post and winning headers. So in this game when Ryan Kent, I think Kent's most meaningful contribution in this game, when he whips in this cross to the far post.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost on the head of Musovski, I think. And Forey ranges over just to head it away. Unbelievable defensive header. That's the kind of stuff that, like, I've been waiting for this team to have in a left back. And the fact that he's 6'2",
he won that header and then was like strutting around like he scored a goal.
Yeah.
Like that, I think you're right that
he's got juice, dude.
He had the juice.
He's got sauce and juice.
Yeah, and he's immediately like one of the most popular players in this locker room too. Like everyone loves him. The coaches, Neville's always joking about him in like press conferences and stuff. Like he's immediately like ingrained himself to this team and the fan base, because throughout the first like 5 or 6 games, he was probably consistently the team's best player and offered just something that we really haven't seen at left back before. Like I don't think he's our Nuhu in a way in terms of like a cult hero left back, but he does a lot of the things that Nuhu does, except
there was similarities. There was parallels.
I'm here for it. 2 Nuhus. When 2 Nuhus collide, the world, it's like splitting an atom. Like the world will explode if they ever went up against each other again. But yeah, Jeremy, why don't you give us your final thoughts here? And then we're gonna watch this presser, and if anyone else wants to call in, they can call in. Obviously, the lines are open, but no one else is in the queue. But we got to get this presser going.
Apparently, no one wants to call.
It's actually pretty good because like I noticed you guys were live because I went on YouTube because I was like I need to watch Schmetzer's presser because I was finishing up my article about this game. But yeah, I think that having 4 shots at home, only putting one of them on target, and still getting a 1-1 draw is really, really funny more than anything. And that's honestly what I look for whenever these games happen. I look for the funniest possible outcome. It could be the Sounders losing 3-0 as they raise a big banner and have paratroopers coming into the stadium.
Wait, but that's what the Timbers did. They did that for MLS's back.
That is true. You know, I was there for that day, and it was such an experience.
Did they have paratroopers for the MLS's back banner?
No, they didn't. I think just raised it before like the 2021 season because like COVID protocols and everything.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But
game's gone.
Yeah. Most of this rivalry's funny moments happen at Lumen, but whenever these two teams meet at Providence, we always see, and I wrote about this too. We see these teams as as kind of like the opposite versions of themselves, except in this game, you didn't see it. You saw the Sounders create a ton of like middling chances, take a ton of speculative shots, try everything to get the final ball, but we're missing the final touch in a lot of occasions. And you saw the Timbers just fail to be good at home like they have been for most of this season. So I'm really looking forward to October, whatever day it is at Lumen, because that's a long time to hold a grudge match, and both teams are going to come away from this feeling extremely unfulfilled. Both fan bases too. And that only exists to drive just the juice in this rivalry up, because there always is. There's always going to be juice between this. And even though Vancouver's having their fun little time right now, it's always been Portland versus Seattle, aside from that 1 year in 1974 when the Timbers didn't exist yet.
I actively, and like maybe you agree or disagree, I'm actively rooting for the Caps to win CCC. Like I actually really like that team, and it's like they don't even exist in my brain as like a rival. It's just like, oh yeah, they're like there,
and now they're the greatest team.
And now like they're the greatest team ever. But it's like they're not offensive to me. Like
their players have always annoyed me. I've always found a couple players on their team that I just dislike. The fans though, cool, very cool for them. Like this is great. This is a very nice thing for them. Also, were you aware that their first game after this CCL is a home game against you guys?
No.
Do you know what they have the opportunity to do if they win that game?
Win CCC and then beat Seattle?
They have an opportunity to raise a banner. Did you know that?
They could banner us, dude.
They could banner you.
I feel like that would be too soon for. Did they do the banner?
I don't remember.
I feel like they usually do banner.
I don't know if
it's different for CCC, but
Yeah, it was like 2 months.
I mean, banner or no banner. I think the opportunity of
dude, they're gonna pin that match if they do win. They're gonna pin that match. That's gonna be Sunday Night Soccer. I feel like they're gonna reschedule that, dude.
Flex
the Sunday Night Soccer for that week already, because that's my birthday week. It's Portland hosting St. Louis. I would do anything to have that game like slightly moved.
Flexed, yeah.
I like the 4:30 p.m. kickoff, because I just don't want St. Louis to be on primetime anymore, especially when I have to be in the stadium watching them.
Yeah, get ready to watch St. Louis City SC. It is an experience.
That's a choice. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for calling in. We always appreciate you. It was fun getting to hang out as well. Always welcome to call in. And why don't you plug too, since you gave us so much time?
All right. Check my website, cascadiafc.substack.com, for an article dropping very shortly about yesterday's game. Right now, I'm currently telling a story about walking past Brian Schmetzer in the bowels of Providence Park, in this very cavernous service level, as he's completely dead silent except for the echoing of various pen clicks as he walks by. Yep.
Seems about right.
So that'll be up very shortly. I actually postponed writing that because I was like, oh my God, they went live. Like, I got to talk to them about this. And they're cool people. And I really like what you guys do with this show. I like that it seems to be growing really well. I'm really excited for that vlog too.
It's gonna be good.
Oh yeah, did I give you both a Cascade AFC sticker?
Yeah, we have them.
I got mine.
I don't see it on any of your computers right now.
I haven't gotten to it yet. We'll get them on there. We promise.
I don't have stickers, but I'll slap that one on for you.
Well, we're also working on building out a new studio, so maybe we'll get it in the background. Maybe that's even better.
I'm very good. Anything that any of these audience members can do who are watching to support local journalism, just do it, because we know this team and the teams that we cover better than anyone who looks at FB Ref and watches the highlight packages every week.
We were talking to Max Bretos in the press box, and he was saying how much he appreciates Sounder at Heart and all of the other local organizations. He's like, dude, I wouldn't be able to do my job without you guys. I want to be able to be authentic and honest and actually like understand deeply the teams, and I wouldn't be able to do that without local stuff. So go support Jeremy, go support all of your favorites, but we really appreciate you calling in, man, and have a great Sunday, and we're gonna kick your ass in October, buddy. Get ready, and we'll see. Are you coming up to Lumen?
Of course. I'm eagerly waiting what the buffet is, because
we'll get you with some more pasta.
About it. I know, I was a little disappointed with that yesterday.
Yeah, it was a letdown spread.
It's okay. We stole a bunch of beers from the PB, so it's all good. We got ours.
That's good. They do just leave them. You can take as many as you want.
Yeah. So, all right, Jeremy. Thanks so much. We'll see you later, man.
Thanks, man. Take care.
All right. Derek Richards with the 149 super sticker. I wish we could see what super stickers they were like on the thing, but you can't.
I still don't fully understand what a super sticker is.
Dude, it's a super sticker, bro. What do you not get?
But it's super.
Let's run this presser. I was texting Jo. He might call in. And then that would be sick, I guess.
And we got an open queue right now. So if you're hankering to lay down any takes on this game or Sounder season as a whole or the games coming up, feel free to tap in.
All right, let's jump into this Brian Schmetzer press conference. I'm also
there's no such thing as a moral victory, perhaps, because I do believe that we outplayed them for large parts of the game. I mean, look, they're a dangerous team. I don't want to take anything away from them. Got some good attacking players, but at the end of the day, end of the game, I should say, we were on top of them. They couldn't get out of their
the guy
half.
In the bed? That's
we had numerous chances. Statistically, we were better than them. So points dropped probably. If that's a direct question you're getting me, Moz. But a little bit of a mental victory for us because we were able to push them back, and they were, delaying the game at the end. They were trying to get out with a draw. I mean, they were hoping for something to go their way in the second half. But I thought we were the aggressors in the second half.
Last day of training, you said we're hoping to make them play defense. Did you make them play defense?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. There was plenty of moments where we pushed them back and made them play. you can go over all the chances. We just went through it as a coaching staff, but plenty of chances to put that game away.
Can you just talk about Yamar's performance? I thought he was a defensive rock all game. Didn't lose any duels, winning balls in the air.
That's part of the game. Duels is fine, but there's other areas of the game that he needs to do better at. I thought he had a strong performance, but there's certain little details that we need to get better for us to start our attacks.
You subbed off Dame Sovsky towards the
Hey,
end
that's
there
me.
and brought on Georgie and kind of slotted some things around. I thought that was an interesting new wrinkle. Maybe it's not new, but could you talk just a little bit about that and what you were looking for there?
Well, Paul has
He
shown
gave me the
he
shrug
can
and
do the work up front. He's a kind of jack of all trades. Georgie against Miller is a matchup that was pretty clear and obvious, and it almost
See, you
worked.
gave me a smile.
You
though.
got around him once, and we had some again half chances. We almost got him in a good position again, but that was just a tactical move.
Brian, it seemed like at the end of the game we were kind of missing a target man because we were putting a lot of balls into the area, but we probably didn't have like a real good target man. So you let some
$4, but
subs
fuck it.
unused. Can you kind of
It's just reg watt.
explain your sub process there?
Yeah.
Well, some process was to put Paul Rothrock up front and bring Georgie on as a winger. If people want to, talk about not bringing Osaze, if that's your direct question, I felt Paul in this moment, he's had more experience, was the better choice.
Any other questions in the room?
See, he didn't like the follow up. He
Kevin,
liked my
over to you
question
also.
better.
First hand I saw was Charles Bohm. So when you're ready, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Brian had to
Coach-
unmute them himself. That was
Coach,
good.
thanks. I wanted to ask about Albert. He gets a goal tonight and seemed like a night that just shows how influential he is in all phases of the game.
Classic Albert Rusnak goal. As soon as he got the ball on his foot, I knew he was going to score. He's done that countless times in his career. He's coming across the goal this way. He waits for the defender to open his legs, puts it back across the goalkeeper. Classic Albert goal. I thought he was very good tonight, very influential. Helps us get out of pressure. Some of the chances in the second half came because of Albert, and I thought he was very decisive, dribbling the ball down the field, trying to create stuff for us. So I gave him good marks.
Alex Rodon said maybe that his skills get taken for granted a little bit sometimes.
That's because they're roommates and they're buddies. Don't take that any other way. I don't know if Albert's got all-star game bonuses and Alex is going to take half. I don't know what that is, but we appreciate.
Dude,
I appreciate
he was
Albert's
plotting, bro.
capability
Yeah,
and the way he
pushing
plays
some-
for sure.
Schmetz has jokes.
Schmetz got jokes, dude.
All right, next hand I saw was Felipe Makeda. So Felipe, when you're ready, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. Coach
This
Brian,
question's really long-winded,
50
so I'm
years
just gonna skip it.
Because these guys want to get
much
It's basically just asking about the rivalry itself.
you guys go, the teams go hand to hand.
well. If you want the short version, because these guys want to get in and interview the players. The overall total record, I believe, is 57 wins for the Sounders, 47 for Portland, and 18 draws. I believe it's somewhere in that range. MLS, it's like 15, 15, and 8, but 8 of the wins have been here in this building. This building, some of the seats in the coaches' thing are torn. They've got some things to do, but the rivalry has stood the test of time. It's the best rivalry in MLS, in my opinion. I actually really like Phil. I think he's a class guy. He certainly, is backing his team. I certainly am proud of the guys tonight. I think they did a good job. But it's been a long, storied history. They like to say they're Soccer City, USA, but I tend to disagree. I think, we've done things better than them.
Thank you.
Next hand I see is Andy Yamashita. So Andy, when you're ready, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
We good? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Cool. Christian had the long passes set up, the Musovsky and Rusnak goal, and then he hits the long ball for Rothrock. How important is his long passing to your guys' offense and what you guys want to do going forward?
Andy, it's critical, but he can even do better. I think, the only thing that I would say is Christian, finishes out his, tenure here at the Sounders, maybe in that position, because, I used to think he was best on the right, but he's doing a fantastic job in the middle of the field. He needs to be a little bit cleaner. He can make one or two more of those similar passes because he has it in him. What you see are those beautiful long passes, but there's a couple times in the game where he misses a pass or two. So that's the final step for him. The one that we're complaining about was the one that hit the referee because, we were in behind.
Forgot about that. Yeah. Forgot about that.
Maybe makes it 2-0. Game's different, but CR certainly has been a very influential player for the club for many years, and he had a good performance tonight.
Thank you, Brian Schmetzer, for that presser. I thought that he was cooking. I have not seen him cook like that in a while at the press conference table.
I wasn't expecting the roommate bit. That was pretty good.
God, we need him on the podcast.
That was a good presser from Schmetz. We got a caller in the queue, but I guess if I could dish a take real quick before who do we have?
We got Parker in the queue. He's not in cam, so when he gets back, he can give us a thumb.
Okay, we got Parker in the queue.
We'll bring you on in just 1 second. Ari's gonna dish, and then we'll get you.
Well,
see you. Okay,
just talking about the rivalry in general. There was a storyline for the last couple years before leading into last year of the Portland Timbers not just dominating the results of the rivalry, but just being more up for it, like playing with a higher intensity. Like we joke about them looking like Real Madrid whenever they play the Sounders, but that was a real thing. It was a thing, and it wasn't about the quality of the teams. It was just about the intensity levels. And I think at the very least in this game, Seattle matched and was up for their intensity. So if there's a positive takeaway, I think that qualifies because that storyline was not fun. So hopefully we're done with that.
All right, one super chat, and then we're bringing Parker on. Derek Richards asks, will Lobbing Scorchers be in Vancouver? I did ask for time off for that game, so I don't know if you wanted to go, but we could definitely go.
TBD, Derek. We are not. I'm not.
They may not let us back into the country because we got too many hot takes. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be careful.
Not fully committed, but we're going to strongly consider it.
That's fine. Me and Colton will go. Colton, you want to
go? If I'm not going, Colton and Noah are going.
Oh, dang. Go by myself, I guess. Exactly. All right, Parker, we're bringing you on now. How we doing? How we feeling? Rivalry week.
Yeah.
Dish the takes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm excited. You guys are doing a great job, by the way. I'm loving it.
Thank you.
You're filling a massive void in the space. There's somebody else who's been on the scene for a couple of years, and there's just a bunch of negativity that I've seen there. And
we don't need to mention names.
Yeah,
but
we know what you're talking about.
Right, they don't deserve to be called out, but you guys bring a really educated and academic and cerebral approach, so I'm here for it. Keep up the good work.
That's the first time I've ever been called academic, Ari. So that's I'm going to be taking that. That's putting it on the resume, dude. I'm putting that on the resume.
Some random guy on our podcast said I'm academic. Okay, so a couple of hot takes here. One is I'm starting to get worried about the World Cup. Because I have high hopes for our team and high expectations, and I don't want us to just flop. I want to show up, and I want us to have a presence. And we have a huge home field advantage, which is unreal that we get to go play in Club World Cup at Lumen. I just who even is our team right now? We have so much depth, but is there a drawback to having such rotation and not having a flow? And, is Jordan going to be even ready? Probably not, maybe. okay, moving on from that, Christian Roldan, I think, was the best player on the field.
Definitely.
I know he got a little bit of crap there from Schmetz on, hitting the referee with the pass. But everything he was doing, all of his movement on and off the ball, he was everywhere. He's in my opinion reached this new level for probably about like 18 months now, but he hasn't plateaued. And I don't understand how he keeps getting better. It's phenomenal.
He's like a fine wine. Just like as it ages, it gets better, or like a cheese or something. Like he just doesn't stop. He's also like the best value in the league by far. He would be a DP on any other team. Like I do not understand how his salary is so. I mean, he's a high TAM player, but it's like that's a DP on any other team the way he produces.
He could be making more money elsewhere.
Yeah, and I wanted to hit the CWC thing really quick.
Yeah,
because we had a couple pitchers of beer last night, and we're just hanging out after the match, and on the way home we were like talking about it, a little bit looser. We were like feeling it. We're like, honestly, anything can happen. I feel like genuinely anything can happen. This is a team that gets up for these kind of tournaments. This is a coach that knows how to play in these crazy tournaments and try things on. You've got home field advantage, and you have new players like Ryan Kent. You have Obed Vargas, who's a GOAT, and like all of these people who, if you can get one win, that would be amazing. Who knows? Maybe you get a win and a draw and that pushes you through. Like anything can happen. And I really think if any team is set up to be successful in this tournament, it's the Sounders. I mean, I really don't think Inter Miami are going to compete well. And I think that like I don't want to say like as a realistic fan, but like as someone who's looking at it, I want to perform better than the other MLS teams. Like that's my goal. And then everything else is gravy, right? Like if you get a win, awesome, like all of that. But I don't know. What do you think, Aria? I'm feeling more I feel really confident, and then I feel not confident, and then I feel confident, and then I feel not confident.
It's just so hard to gauge because there's no reference point for how an MLS team will do in this type of situation.
I mean, they arguably in the last Club World Cup that they were in, they arguably could have won that game. They played well, and then off of a fluke deflection, they lose at the death against a really good, African club. So it's like, could things have been different in that tournament? You just don't know. Like we've never played against Botafogo,
exactly,
PSG,
like
and Atletico Madrid,
this
like
level of competition. Yeah. I go back and forth on it as well, but I'm not. It seems like there's a lot of people who are already taking it as a given, like. Seattle's going to be fully chalked in every single game. Like every single game is going to be 5-0. This is going to be such a disgrace and an embarrassment to the sport and the country and all that. And I don't like it's definitely the easy conclusion to come to when you consider the gap in roster spending and just pedigree and all that. But I was cooking on a March Madness analogy last night that I thought was
good.
I thought was kind of hot. It's kind of like a March Madness situation where you got like the 13 seed playing the 2 seed or whatever. So in this analogy, Seattle's like George Mason or West Appalachian whatever state. Playing against Duke. And, so most of the time in those games, they go the type of way you would expect, but it's not like unheard of for a mid-major to like make a little run. Like it could happen. So that's sort of like they're the heavy underdog.
We're St. Mary's College.
Yeah, it's St. Mary's. You never know what can happen in an individual game. They got the home field advantage. And they also, there's quality on this team to be able to at least have like a competitive, dignified showing in this situation. I don't think Ryan Kent's going to forget how to play the game because he's going against PSG. He's not going to go out on the field against PSG and start picking the ball up with his hands because everyone thinks that the team they're playing is so much better than them. So for me, my barometer for success for Club World Cup has remained consistent. I just want, like I said, a competitive, dignified showing. Don't do anything that's going to set the club and the league back multiple decades. Don't embarrass yourself. And if you do all that and you still lose to PSG, I'm not going to crash out over it. I just want to see them go out and acquit themselves well and show out to the best of their abilities, hopefully score a couple goals. And who knows, you might get at you. Actually, it's not crazy to think
It's not
that
unrealistic to think that we could get a result.
I think this is no, not at all. This is my hopium take. Okay, you ready? Think about this. The U.S. men's national team, are they better with a bunch of MLS players or a bunch of Euro frauds? I think better with MLS players because they're just dogs. They don't get this is everything for them. This is everything for them. We were talking about the U.S. men's national team with the guy at the bar the other day, and I was just like, dude, think about this, right? These guys, they got 2 jobs, like back in the day at least, they had 2 jobs. They were working. And then, you bring in the European guys, it's like they don't want to get injured. They don't want to get injured in a tournament like this. You think Christian Roldan's not going to go full studs up in CWC? Dude, this is his peak.
Obed has a lot riding on showing out in that tournament.
Yeah. Ferreira,
Ferreira has got probably more than anyone at this point. Like
Ryan Kent too.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Danny Musovski, I don't think PSG wants to see Danny Musovski. I don't.
Nah, dude, they don't want to see him.
Yeah. Dude's on fire right now. I'm so proud of him.
His assist was class.
Oh, dude, it was the way he was able to body off that defender to just get enough space to knock it back.
My all-star agenda looks better by the week.
I wish that I wouldn't have been a hater. He has fully and truly pushed me.
I think that
into the lover category.
I think that actually adds to the narrative arc, though.
It does.
So,
we've been talking over you, Parker. Give us some more. Give us some more takes.
Give us more takes, Parker.
Your YouTube podcast, like I'm gonna listen. Quick thing about back to CWC.
Yeah.
I don't care what the result is. I care that I want to be proud of my team.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to be yelling at the screen, happy for the game, because I'm not going to make all the games, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like I just want to be excited and like have love for the game while I'm watching it instead of like, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
So and we absolutely have that. And I think that despite whatever challenges we may have, we have the tools and the passion in the locker room to be there in that moment. And so I'm excited. I am excited.
Yeah, and look, to be fair, a lot of people saw this differently, but I came out of the All Ali game in the last Club World Cup, and I was proud. I was like, you know what? That was a good game. Like, I like people.
It was still fun.
Yeah, people crashed out over that to almost unprecedented degrees, talking about how disgraceful and embarrassing
that's
the performance against All Ali was.
That's where the anti-Alex Roldan stuff start. Like,
really I must have been watching a different game because I saw 2 teams playing each other straight up, super competitive, hard fought game. Seattle was playing that game on absolutely that was their first competitive match, right? Of that year. Al Ali was mid-season. You're playing it in Morocco as the first MLS club to ever play in that tournament. And I thought they did ever. Yeah. And I thought they did pretty well. Like, so if I come out of this one with a similar sentiment to that, I think you got to be pleased with that. You got to be realistic about the fact that you're talking about just roster spending. Just look at the difference there, man. Like you are up against it in that situation, but that does not mean you can't be
when
competitive.
You consider the margins there. Sorry to interrupt, but like
1 week of PSG's salary is like basically the entire cap for the Seattle. Like 1 week.
So I already know that if they lose to PSG by a couple goals, the crash outs about how Craig Weibs set the team up for failure, Weibel out because we lost to PSG. Those takes are going to be out there. I'm not going to subscribe to that.
No, I'll be honest though. Until about January, February, I was having my doubts about Weibs, but it's just. And I don't know what it is, and maybe it's the way he communicates or level of confidence. I didn't have the like observational experience to be like what he's saying. I was worried that he was scaring other teams away. Yeah. Because he's like, yeah, everybody's interested in me, but I don't know if I'm always picking up the phone. And I'm like, come on, dude, like let's make sure we keep those channels open. But then he pulls out all of these. Like, I think we'd be in a completely different situation if Paul Arriola didn't have that injury, because all of the holes that we see with Jesus Ferreira, Paul Arriola was feeding those. It was like magic.
We talked about that. We were like, dude, remember how good that duo and that combination looked together.
We forget that now because of the downturn in how the Ferrer experiment has gone, but there were some genuinely excellent moments between those two. And I guess when I think about it through that lens, that gives me at least some sort of hope that he can develop chemistry like that with the guys on this team. It hasn't happened yet, but like, we know he's an adaptable, versatile player who's good. He's unselfish. He's good at combining with other players. For whatever the reason is, it has not clicked so far. I think last night we saw more examples of it not clicking, but I don't know. Maybe I'm deluded on the topic, but I'm not ready to chalk it. I'm not ready to chalk it. I still think that they can get it to an effective place.
Yeah, and I'm not ready to chunk it either. The downside is it's like, so the game last Wednesday, and the the game before that, it was like he was thought. I don't want to like speak bad about him because I like him and I believe in him.
Yeah,
but there's that like quiet confidence of the number 9 or who's like walking on the field, but then they're always in the right. And there's a particular player who's playing for Inter Miami right now who he like goes invisible on the field and then it's all of a sudden like, whoa, Messi, obviously. Yeah. But like, it doesn't work for Jesus. It doesn't work for him. He can't, because there are so many other, you have Albert Rusnak, you have Ryan Kent, you have CR7, you have all of these other people. Forget about Pedro de la Vega, Vargas, all of them are playing chess. So like, they're moving into these pockets. He can't just like be lackadaisical about it. And so last night's game, I could tell he has a desire to step it up, but there were at least 3 balls that he could have intercepted, but he just like thought about it too late. I don't know if it was panic or decision paralysis, but I think if he just switches that flip or flips that switch.
Flips the switch. switches the flip is tight too.
Yeah, switches the flip is better.
Anyway, yeah.
I agree. I think it's tough. I feel for him because he is being played. I look at him like when Rusnak came on this team, and it was like a great signing, but they just tossed him at the defensive at the 8 for whatever, like because they just
I mean
that's what he had to do.
was the 10, yeah,
and it was like that's how it feels right now, where they're just like trying to utility him. But like you said, he is this unique player who you almost need to build around. And I think that that's why Dallas wanted to get rid of him. I think that like they were just like, this is not what we want to build around right now. And
yeah, we shouldn't build around him either, though. That shouldn't be our goal.
Yeah, it's just it's a tough. It's tough. It's tough. But like we talk about the process of it. It's like you can't not sign that guy for
I'm glad we did. I am. Yeah. I really am. It's like, who else would we have signed? Like, there wasn't a better option on the table.
Plus 7 assists. You can't argue with 7 assists.
Yeah. And then
I mean, 0 goals you can argue with.
Sure.
But no, that's I mean, I've been saying even before these last 2 games where it didn't look super great again, I don't think it's been as much of a categorical bust as a lot of people have been saying. I think, I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but there's been a lot of genuinely good moments as a facilitator at different points. So I think it's fair to point both things out. It's not good that he hasn't scored yet. There's been long periods of time, games where it's looked like disjointed, not cohesive, that it's not clicking yet. There's been other moments where it's looked quite good. So probably more where it hasn't looked good, but go for it, Parker.
He had more good moments last night. So like,
I thought so too. A lot of people were saying he was a total 0 again, but as far as how he seemed to be fitting within the offense and how the team in general was getting out on the counter and combining and creating some not great chances, but some okay chances. I thought the Rusnak Ferreira lineup functioned okay.
Say that last sentence again.
I thought the lineup with Rusnak and Ferreira, the starting 11, functioned okay.
Yeah. And another hot take, and I don't know how, maybe I'm saying this just to say it, but Rusnak right now is looking better than Nico. Like,
Ooh, that chat's not gonna like that
right,
one.
Here we go. Now we're lobbing
Chat's
Scorchers.
not gonna like
Parker.
that
Come
one.
on.
Let's go.
Maybe I'm just trying to stir the pot, but
I love it.
He is looking so good. Nico was amazing, and Nico was like a mature Pedro de la Vega, whereas Albert Rusnak is, he has the versatility and the speed, but he has like some of the essence of JP, where I don't know, just like his defensive play, his movement, I don't know, but
dude, he slid.
I'm actually people aren't gonna like that take, but I'm actually glad that you brought it up because a lot of the brigade's anti-Rusnak stuff, so it started when he was playing as the 8 and not putting up numbers. So they were like they dug in at the very beginning and were like, this guy, we signed this guy as a DP attacker, and now he's playing as the 8 and not putting up stats. So like that is the root of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And then he when they actually played him as a 10, he put up excellent production last year, put 30 goal contributions, all comps. That's like a pretty crooked stat line. But since the stat sheet production actually was there, then they had to pivot to like, well, the goals don't count for this and this reason. And also it's a lot of like, he's lazy, his effort isn't there, which I think maybe that's something where he's getting compared to Nico. And like Nico was probably the best two-way number 10 I've seen in the league as far as just like work rate on both sides of the ball, just never stops running. Rusnak is not that type of player. I personally don't. The only reason I would care that much about that particular issue is if I felt like him not busting it all the time on defense was affecting the team defense negatively, and they were conceding goals because like he was being lazy or whatever. They've been a great defensive team with him playing that position, so I don't really see why that matters. But
he also came back and he did a full sliding tackle.
Well, so that's what I was going to get to, which is like I thought last night one of the biggest plays of the game was when they were about to get on the counter and he busted it and won that slide tackle, and really that could have been a really dangerous counter.
Yeah.
So let's give him a little bit of credit for, we got this narrative that he's lazy. He wasn't lazy right there.
No. Anyway, thanks for having me on, you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Parker.
Thanks for calling in. Hopefully we'll see you soon, man.
Sounds good. Take care.
Take care. All right, Ari, I think we should start to wrap it up here. We've still got to record a podcast. We may not be able to record it in this hotel room. We may have to record it.
I think that's the play, to be honest.
Somewhere else. But it is almost 1. So if anyone wants to get their last questions in, if you super chat, we will 100% read it. If not, no promises. Some of the chats have gone by. That's how it goes. But what I want to say before we jump out of here, before we start answering a bunch of questions, please hit the like button. It helps boost the algo. It helps our personal algo and
our egos,
which is like, that's the whole reason we do the show. Obviously, it's to feel good about ourselves. Yeah. So pop that like button. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. That'd be sick too. Super chat us if you want us to answer your question, but we're going to start digging into a few of these chats here. Nick was cooking in the chat.
What did he? I didn't see it.
Nick says, I'm out. This was fun. Disagree with a lot. I feel like I'm watching a different team than anyone else. This team hasn't really looked that good this year, and it feels a lot like last season did. Now, I kind of want to bring Colton on for this if you're up for it. You were kind of telling me a little bit about this, and I feel like I want to let you cook on this. Colton v. Ari style. I think this could be good content.
Okay.
This is a little warm. Sorry. Hold on. Let me grab my coffee. He needs his calf, dude. But because I feel like Colton has felt a little bit this way, and so I think we can get a good perspective from this.
Okay, let's do it.
I've actually been like thinking about this for what time is it? It's almost 1. I've been thinking about this for the last 12 hours. I think I may have been reacting a bit harshly after the game, which yeah, if you know me well, you know that that's very surprising. I'm very level-headed. I'm very mellow. But our good friend Mark actually made a really good point last night that I haven't really been able to stop.
Mark Kastner,
yeah. But I haven't really been able to stop thinking about is that we've had a lot of different attacking combinations put into rotation so far this season.
Yeah.
And maybe I, as a fan, need to give them a little bit more grace. Yes, I do think in some cases this does feel very similar to last season, and I love to crash out. It's one of the things that I'm best at.
Yeah.
What does it take? 10,000 hours to perfect something?
Mm-hmm.
I'm damn close. But I feel a little bit more mellow today than I did maybe after the game last night, where I was crashing out a little bit. I was trying to be calm and normal about it.
You're a passionate fan.
I'm a passionate fan. It does feel like there's been instances where we're watching the exact same team we've been watching for like 3 or 4 years. Yeah, you got to eat that bagel, Ari. It's good.
I don't want to eat on.
He doesn't want to eat on mic.
on
He doesn't want to eat on mic. And so I am probably the right person to answer this question, and also the wrong person, because I feel different today than I felt yesterday, which might be disappointing.
As far as the point of it looking like last season, I think there's probably been individual games where I would say that. I think this team has shown a lot more attacking upside and really production in a few of the games as well than the team last year did. Has there been games that were kind of a slog in attack like last year? Yeah. I don't know how much of that is like carryover and how much of that is like MLS. It's a grind sometimes. You have to grind out games. But when I think about dropping 5 on LAFC at home, I thought that was a great attacking performance. The 3-0 against Nashville, I thought that looked way better than a lot of what we saw last year. Dropping 3 at Houston away, that's not something that last year's team probably would have done. And I also think that for me, the Ryan Kent storyline has been something that looks like it could be an X factor as far as just like force multiplying the whole team. So I also think when you look at the table right now, 5, 4, and 5, like 19 points, they're 6th in the West. That alone, like that is not where this team is expected to be or should be. But since the start of the season, which was really bad, I think they were like 1-3-1. They had the 4-0-1, and really, I think I would be feeling a lot more bullish if this LAFC debacle had not gone off the rails to the extent that it did. Like, I really think that if that game was more competitive and the scoreline didn't get that crooked, I'd be like, all right, like I really like what I've seen from this team over the last month or so, especially with Moose heating up. So I think there's it's funny because there's both lenses of it where there are times where you watch it like last night or some of the other games where you're like, oh man, we had a show earlier this season that was called like Same Old Seattle Sounders because of that. But I try to give them credit for the uptick that we've seen as well. Like Moose popping off like this is great. Ryan Kent before last night was looking phenomenal. So I think, 2/3 of the season left to go. Let's see what narratives they're able to create.
They just played so many games in 1 week, and
all on the road.
And I was in the locker room with Noah last night when we talked to Ryan Kent. Dude was exhausted.
Yeah.
You could hear it in his voice. You could see it in his body language. I mean, he's not used to this, right? When you're traveling in 1 week to 3 different cities across the United States.
Scottish Premiership, you're driving 26 miles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Your longest, road game is to Aberdeen from Glasgow.
Yeah.
Right. Some SPL knowledge for you sickos out there. And so I think even though he was very exhausted, he gave away the ball a lot.
Yeah.
He wasn't quite on top of his game last night. That was probably the closest I've watched Ryan Kent since he came to the team. And I could even see he's got the juice.
He's nasty with it.
He's nasty with it. He's got the juice. Last night he was exhausted. I don't really know if he should have started, in all honesty.
That's kind of how I felt too, because
but also if you want to put kind of your best foot forward on the road, maybe you need to start him in that kind of game against Portland. and he was exhausted. And it's one of those things where on Tuesday, if you say they tie 1-1 in Portland on Saturday, I'm like, oh yeah, okay,
right,
that's fine. And then on Thursday, it becomes a very different story if you say the same thing, and you're like, that's kind of disappointing because they just got absolutely blammoed by LAFC.
Exactly.
But it is still a long season. They have played a lot of games so far in all these different competitions. So I'm willing to give them some grace. They have a lot to come. They're going to play in the Club World Cup, and that is exciting. And I'm not stoked for it, I guess. But it's exciting for the club. It's a huge moment for the club. They're going to play PSG and Atletico Madrid at Lumen Field.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's I've always been curious as to how something like that would go. So if nothing else, we're actually going to get to see it. Where are you at just generally on the Club World Cup outside of just the novelty of getting to play teams like this?
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
The last time I saw the Sounders play European competition at Lumen Field, it was Borussia Dortmund in 2018.
Oh,
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
2019, maybe?
Something like that.
Can you tell me who scored the Sounders goal that day? It's one of my favorite fun facts about this team.
Who is it?
Jonathan Campbell, Johnny Football, the pride of Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
I should have pulled that.
Scored
Excellent.
against Borussia Dortmund.
Excellent name drop.
But no, I mean, I'm excited for it. It's a huge deal for the club. They're going to get money, which is good. They're going to showcase themselves on an international stage in a way that they haven't before, right? The last Club World Cup felt a little wonky. It almost felt kind of rushed. It was over like that. But now they're going to get 3 group games at least.
Mm-hmm.
It is a much better format, especially for, the format probably doesn't benefit your Atletico Madrids and your PSGs and your Borussia Dortmund and all these, massive clubs from around the world that are coming to the US. But the format probably does benefit the MLS teams that are in it. And it probably does benefit some of the smaller teams that are in it because they're going to get more exposure. Right. And so it's one of those things where I've kind of poo-pooed the Club World Cup and I haven't bought tickets yet, even though I'll probably end up going to 1 or 2 of the games. But the closer we get to it, I think I'm able to appreciate how big of a moment it is for the club. And I think that's cool.
And it's just going to be I'm going to be interested to see what they can do, how they can play, how the games go. It's definitely there's a lot of novelty in the situation to appreciate. I just I'm just not looking forward to the discourse. They could compete.
It's going to be awful.
It's going to be awful.
No matter what.
They could be competitive against PSG and lose, and we're going to have to do 3.5 weeks about how they're the biggest disgrace to the sport of all time because they lost to PSG. Those takes are going to be out there, and we're going to be in the heat of the discourse. So that's not going to be fun. But I'm going to try and not let that tamp down my interest in just how the Sounders are going to look playing against a team like that.
I think I woke up this morning and even last night and felt like a renewed sense of pride to be a Seattle Sounders fan. I always feel that when I come to Portland because it's a really fun experience when you play the Portland Timbers. It's even more fun in Portland because we tend to do better here for some reason. And I feel so proud to be a Sounders supporter. And I feel proud of the club. And when we talk about the Club World Cup, I just kind of had this thought. It's insane that in 17 years, whatever you want to say it, the Sounders went from playing Manchester United and Tottenham and Barcelona at home in a preseason game for them and like a mid-season friendly for us. And just knowing you're going to get bammed on by 5 or 6 goals by the reserve side of all these teams. And now they're going to play these teams in competitive matches at home. That's insane.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's insane. And that's really cool. And that's something to be proud of because there's not a lot of teams that can say that in MLS. Charlotte is not in this competition. If Nashville had a team, they wouldn't be in this competition.
Right.
But I just think that's cool, And so I think I'm more excited for Club World Cup now just because it's a big moment for the club.
I was thinking about, the LAFC versus Club America charity.
That's another thing.
The
Sounders earned the right to be in this game.
So yeah, that you got the charity match and you've got Inter Miami getting the charity spot.
Yep.
And isn't it kind of cool to be like the team that's like, we didn't need charity.
No, we won it.
We didn't need charity to get
we
here.
won it.
We got here fully on the merit.
Yeah.
You can say that it's a contrived spot off the 22 title, whatever.
Yeah.
That's getting in on the merit of it and not getting a charity spot because another team dropped out. So now you have to duel for it. I will say, I do think the duel is kind of sick.
It's going to be awesome.
Like
that game is going to be chaos.
Let them fight for it.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
gonna be
And then
so
we
great.
can just sit back and watch and be like, already in it, already in it. Don't give a shit about how this goes.
Yeah.
Already in it. So
great.
there's that aspect of it that feels kind of good.
Yeah,
I would say.
I'm sure we need to wrap this up because Noah is furiously packing up this hotel room. But I do before I see the mic back to Noah, I want to say one last thing, and this is MLS as a whole. This isn't Sounders content, so if you're just here for that, don't turn it off, but you can mute me for this point. This is MLS as a whole. I want to say publicly, live on the internet, shame on the Columbus Crew for not winning that game yesterday.
Oh, hell is real?
Yeah, shame on the Columbus Crew for not winning that game yesterday when they brought in Archie Griffin, the only two-time Heisman Trophy winner in the history of college football, to do their weird breakthrough styrofoam bricks and do a weird controlled demolition thing. How do you not win that game with Archie Griffin in the building?
You should explain why you care about Archie Griffin.
Just have some respect for the Ohio State University and for one of the greatest college football players of all time. How do you not win that game?
That's a good take. I didn't know they did that with the Archman.
Arch Griff came in. Statue of him outside of the horseshoe. Go Bucks. What are you doing? 1-1 with Cincinnati? You know how many two-time Heisman Trophy winners were Cincinnati Bearcats? 0.
Yeah, actually, that's I'm glad you dished that take.
You're welcome.
It's a good.
This is where to come from for all your Seattle Sounders, MLS, and Ohio State Buckeyes.
It's
takes.
Penn State, we are. Penn State, we are.
It's a good segue actually into something else that I was thinking about, which is like, if you look at how rivalry week went,
hard to say,
along around the league. Columbus Crew and FC Cincinnati, two of the best teams in the league right now. They're ahead of where Seattle and Portland are on the table, but similar idea, like hard fought 1-1 draw. I don't think anyone in either of those fan bases are crashing out over it. I mean, maybe, but like a game like that, I don't think it really. It's all that instructive to look at the quality of either team in a rivalry game like that. Like, I still think that the Columbus Crew, even though that was in Columbus, that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, it was in Columbus. Yeah.
That's not a super awesome result for them, but
I mean, if you look at this rivalry week, or if you look at, I mean, obviously it's impossible to look at MLS through this same lens that Alex Ferguson taught me to look at soccer through this lens for most of my childhood and my life. The goal every season is to draw on the road and win at home, right? In these instances where you play teams on, obviously the Premier League and MLS have very different scheduling formats, but in that vacuum, the Sounders did a good thing yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Like 1-1 road trip where you take the draw at Portland is not terrible in my opinion. It's just I just think that LAFC game has everyone.
It's really having.
It's a little like, because
it's bad.
One thing I've always appreciated about this team is how infrequently we have to deal with stuff like that, like getting on a post-game live after you got 4-0'd. A lot of teams fan bases like do that a lot, man, and we just really haven't. But we've had, like, just in general, but there has been 2 of those this year. Like, there was the San Diego one and the LAFC one, and it's just like, if you're going, like, in MLS, you are going to take L's in those situations with the scheduling like that. Sometimes for me, it's more just about like competing and keeping it in a situation where getting a result is attainable and not letting it go off the rails like that. So I think it's fair to be disappointed that there's been 2 instances now where they've had a road game where they've had to rotate, but they put out an 11 that you think should be able to be competitive, and then they get boat raced. If they're able to make it through the rest of this season without that type of stuff happening, I'll be happy about that. But I understand why coming off an L that emphatic and then having to eke out a draw in the next game feels a little unfulfilling, even if, again, the final result of it is not a terrible haul from the road trip. But kind of related to what we're talking about, like looking at the other results from around the league, I always find myself thinking, God, like, even if the Sounders result wasn't amazing, it could be so much worse, man. It could be so much worse. And my my case study in that right now is Atlanta United, like which
number one Atlanta United hater.
I consume more Atlanta United content than Atlanta United fans at this point. Like I think a lot of them are starting to check out. The crowd at their game yesterday wasn't super great, but like I was listening to their Five Stripe final pod after the game, and like the narratives down there, man, are like dark, like they're talking about how everything that made their team special early on in their MLS days is just gone. Like
what was the big change that happened in the last couple of years to Atlanta United?
Yeah. We're talking Garth Lagerwey. We're talking Chris Hendo.
Old friends.
Yeah.
Old friends.
So like maybe it's cope, but whenever Seattle takes a result that's not super great, I look around the league and I'm like, that could be worse. Like their whole club is in flux. We're talking about one bad L at LAFC and well, like in terms of just this road trip. Like,
not us. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about
it's fine. It's okay. It's
like
okay.
There's one bad L at LAFC and then a so-so draw at Portland. Their entire club is in like the abyss right now, man. So it could be worse. It could be worse.
I want to get off a take here real quick. We are very spoiled as Sounders fans that we consistently have the expectation of greatness.
That's why
success.
Feels like that's why the results when they don't go well stink, because it's like it usually does
because
go.
It's because we don't see them that often, right? And we, when you go to LA and you play LAFC, you automatically remember the 2019 Western Conference Final, and you say, "Well, this is a team that did that. We should be able to handle Wednesday."
The playoffs last
at what is it? Bank? It's not Bank California.
Of BMO.
Oh
yeah,
it's BMO Field.
Yeah,
which is crazy because there was the other BMO Field. That's a tangent. But we are blessed and cursed with the expectation, and in MLS, there's not a whole lot of other teams that have that blessing or curse. The LA Galaxy might be the only other one that I think you can make the case has had as consistent of expectation as the Seattle Sounders.
You know what's funny?
Since the Sounders came into the league.
You know what's funny is I was this is more Schadenfreude. I was watching the Greg Vanney presser after the LA Galaxy
they extended him.
The LA Galaxy are famously 0-10-3, off to the worst start in MLS history, to the point where when we were on our stream the other night, we were debating like how much longer they can justify keeping Greg Vanney as the coach, even though he just won MLS Cup, just because of how far it's fallen this year. And we were talking about the ways that they could have prevented that. And then literally the next day they put out a press release. We have signed Greg Vanney to a multi-year contract extension. This man is going to be the LA Galaxy coach for forever. He's got a lifetime appointment. I mean, it's like a 3-year extension, but I just thought that was such a funny situation for them to be in, where they're like, because what happened? This is what happened. They won MLS Cup last year, and after that happened, they were like, all right, Greg Vanney's contract is up after next year. We're going to extend him. He built this up. He won us the ship. This is our guy. And so they've been negotiating, I think throughout the offseason, probably, maybe it's stalled a little bit. And then this season they've been negotiating, but then the season has been going so disastrously to the point where the national conversation around it was like, should they even do this? And my opinion on it was like, if I was in that negotiation and he was asking to be the highest paid coach in MLS in this negotiation, reportedly, if I'm the owner in that situation, I would be like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this right now. Like, I know that we just won the ship and you did a great job building that team and assembling the team that was fantastic last year and won MLS Cup, but like, this is bad. Like, I don't feel like I can rightfully extend a coach when it's gone this far off the rails. At least that's how I would have been thinking of it. Anyway, they signed the extension, but Greg Vanney and Will Kuntz had to give press conferences of like, yay, we signed the extension, while they're 0-10-3.
It's almost like they were trying to give people any good news that they could.
But see, it's
like
not,
they were just trying to be like, this is something. Here's something else to talk about.
But I feel like if anything, that would tilt the fan base, because it's like, dude, we are 0-10-3.
Yeah, they didn't read the room correctly.
You read the room. You're announcing the coach extension. Like, at this point, But so Greg Vanney was giving his presser, and to be fair, he mentioned at one point, he actually said, like, I feel kind of guilty about having a like positive story around me right now with how results are going, blah blah blah. He did say that. But I thought the whole dynamic of it with him and Will Kuntz talking about it was just kind of weird. But one thing that Greg Vanney did say at one point was, he was leaning on the history of the Galaxy and like this has been the most successful club in the league. And the quote was, though, he literally said, outside of us and Seattle, no one can argue like with the overall success that we've had as a club. So I thought it was kind of cool that he had to say that.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't say LA Galaxy are far and away the most successful club in the history of MLS. He had to caveat it. He had to say, well, it's us in Seattle.
It's very much
so. But I think that speaks to like, however, the results might not be what they were in the last year or so compared to the previous 5 years. The overall body of work is still inarguable with. So that's something.
It's very much the scene in Breaking Bad, which I just watched for the first time, if you can't tell, where he's like, say my name. You know who I am.
Yes.
Say my name.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I want to read some comments real quick, and then I'm going to have Noah hop back on because I think there is a caller waiting. One, we haven't been to a final since May 2022. Correct. Ugh. Woe is us. See, isn't that insane? We haven't been to a final in May 2022, and we're crashing out.
Yeah.
And there's a good chance we can play in at least one final this year. I'm not going to put it past them to play in the Club World Cup final at MetLife Stadium on July 13th. That would be funny.
Well, and also, like, I think I watched a different season than some people last year. Last season started off poorly and then ended pretty well. They ended up top 4 in the West, won 16 games and made it to the West final. You can poke holes in the path if you want, but the final result was they were minutes away from a final, which we were talking about this last night too, but ultimately it's like about bites at the apple, right? Like you're not going to win every single trophy. You're not going to win MLS Cup every year that you make the playoffs, but it's just about consistently putting yourself in those situations where you can do that. And last year they did do that, to be fair. Like they were right there to go to another MLS Cup. And I think the frustrating thing about it is if they win that Galaxy game, they probably do win MLS Cup because the Red Bulls going cross country was always going to be tough for them no matter who they had. So yeah, no. So Noah's saying that the Western Conference final is technically a final.
Reset the clock. We're back.
Reset the clock. No, I think you can even whatever you think of that. My point is just that like they had the bite. They had the bite at the apple. They were right there for it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, the team this year is much better than the team last year. I agree. Last comment that I want to read before I leave because it's very on brand for me. We play next to the Seattle Mariners. We know how bad it could really get. And luckily, we don't have enough time for me to talk about that comment, but I just wanted to read it because damn if it ain't true.
It's a good point.
It could get so much worse.
It's a good point.
So thanks for having me, everyone. Follow me on Blue Sky at Bitter Snail. That's really all I can plug.
And when we drop this vlog that we're making off this trip,
photog credits.
Colton filmed most of it. So
we need to get Colton on more, and we definitely need to get some more trips going and more Mariners content. Exactly. Well, Ari, I know we have a caller in the queue, but we do have to check out of this hotel room very shortly, so it's up to you. But we've got about 10 minutes. So Caleb, if you can cook for 10 minutes, we're happy to have you on. Is that give us?
Can you give us the thumbs up?
Beautiful. All right.
Let's
Welcome to the stage, the one and only Caleb. How are we doing?
Oh, he's decked out. What's up, Caleb?
Good evening, Lobbing Scorchers.
Always good to see you, man.
It's good to see you guys. I'm just here, just prepping up for one of the biggest for one of the other biggest derbies that's about to be upcoming, where I'm going to be making a grand appearance, which I really hope to maybe see you guys and have a cordial conversation about, like, certain, footballing appearances, because I will make my appearance June 6th, when the great Ballard FC takes on the stupid Portland Bangers, and I will be a very beautiful, special, little something here. I don't know if you could see that.
What date is this? Wait, I'm putting this on my calendar, Caleb.
I mean, I don't know if you could see like the grand success of this contraption.
Dude, that's beautiful. Sick. We soloed you there too. That's incredible. Whoa, it's see-through too? Dude, I know nothing about drums, but I know that looks sick as hell.
Well, the story about this is there's a little story about this, when the first because the Sounders' success is really the reason why that you see this. You see that beloved beast. It's because the first one is because the first how I got it is from the place that I'm staying at. When we won our first star back in 2016, I got my place here that you say, went from being homeless. And then the second star is that you see that we have on our crest is when I actually got this beloved baby, when we won our second championship. So when I say that this club means a successful story, this means a very magical, deeper, successful story that, again, most other MLS franchises, they would literally sell an arm and a soul in order to have somebody like me in there, to passion.
You're a real one. You're a real one.
But I digress from that. I just wanted to say this game was shit. I'm not gonna lie. I keep saying it like to everybody, and I'm still gonna keep repeating it. We are not the Seattle Sounders. Like, we will continue until all of us admit that we are RSL 2.0. Like, this was strictly an RSL 2.0 game. I'm sorry, but I went to the game against Portland versus RSL. I was there. Shout out to Salt City United. Shout out to their firm. They got me in. I was up in the riot section. I was front and center, which I actually made no context MLS. If you actually check it out on Instagram,
we'll check it.
Because I was there making sure to be the ultimate hate watch for Portland, and also doing my Henderson scouting, which but I was watching that game, and just to see them drag themselves just around to just stay in the game against RSL, that was warning signs, which I told everybody, we have to watch that game, the Portland RSL game. If you're not going to watch that game, you're not going to understand how this game on Saturday is going to be for them. They even the Port Scum piece of shit team, they didn't even acknowledge their fans from that draw. They just went straight and dipped straight into the locker room. And they went because they were just amped up for Saturday, because they knew that they had nothing. And also, I'm sorry to say this, but Albert ain't it. I mean, when just because he scored, he still hasn't beaten.
What's he supposed to do?
Okay, I understand.
I mean, listen,
okay.
The snack, he scored. That's what else is he supposed to do?
Yeah. He scored, but at the same time, you're supposed to be a DP. You're supposed to ass ram the fucking team. If you're getting paid DP, that means you're supposed to be an ass rammer. You're supposed to be the sexiest / biggest ass rammer / disruptor / devil / demon / you're supposed to be this danger thing that people are supposed to fear. Port Scum doesn't fear them, because at the same time, Port Scum has had so much of a time having to deal with that album with that freaking Megamind back at RSL, which again, do call out you and Ari to one day, I hope, maybe take the trip to come to the old stomping grounds of Garth here in Salt Lake. That's all I'm asking.
That would be fun.
The stadium, I've never been to it, but it looks very scenic.
I would love to come out there.
I've also heard, Caleb, can you confirm? I've heard multiple players say that Real Salt Lake fans are the rowdiest hecklers of any road trip that they go on.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I can definitely attest and confirm and affirm to that. Which that is why I keep telling people that if you want to understand where Mr. Fat Fuck, aka Mr. Garth Lagerway, wants to where he came from, that stadium that you see of America First Field, that is the land that is the house that he actually built, because especially with the grand partners of Deloy Hansen and many other great ownerships that they had back in the past that Garth snaked and just basically took advantage of. That is what, it comes down to that, which, like I keep saying this, if you want to understand how, this RSL 2.0 and how Mr. Craig Weibel, works, you have to look at the 5 years of the body work, especially what he did against the teams of Cascadia. You have to do your research and dig deep into that, which I would love to have a good session with you guys and explain those things. But at the same time, we don't have a signing, which I would say, I know this is a little controversial, but we have 10 days. Bring back Nico Ladero, God damn it. At this point, we need something. We need, because I know we can get Nico Ladero for cheap because that's because he has ambition. But then at the same time, if you're paying Albert, this, if you're paying Albert this big ass, and Albert doesn't want to, if Albert doesn't want to take a pay cut, then he seriously has no ambition to be here. I'm just going to say that, because there are so many big time players throughout the years that has.
Caleb, I got to get your take. I know you're.
That's the way how I see it. If you're not going to really sacrifice and get a pay cut, then that really shows to the fans, and it shows to the organization. They you're supposed to pay me this big money, but if you're not none of our DPs are doing anything. None of our RSL staff is doing anything. None of our our owners aren't doing shit. So hey, let's call it a spade for spade.
Well, all right, Caleb, thank you for lobbing that. I'm going to give you one more question before we go, because we do actually have to check out of this hotel room. I want to know, okay, you're the biggest Garth hater in the world. I just want to, how great has the Atlanta United Schadenfreude been for you? To watch another club that a club that he's in charge of, Foley, with a blank check, fall into just absolute monotony and just a terrible, terrible team.
Well, I would say this: just because he's sucking now, it still can be the so-called MLS. He could still have that MLS comeback bullshit story. We've already fattened up his fucking stock already with with the Sounders stock. That, again, when you come to us, we always have a better stock in our value that will never be replaced, and it can never be overshadowed. But I'm calling it a spade for spade. It's with Garth failing, I want more failure. Trust me. I really hope. I want to drink a whole bottle of Martinelli's apple cider of the brewing every year. But there's always that one thing that Garth can pull out of his ass, which you and I, being a Garth Lagerway admirer or watcher, that there's something that he can pull out of his ass. And I don't I just want to make sure that all those stops are stopped, and making sure that being look, you can't do it without Chris Henderson. You can't do it without the Crest of Cascadia, and you definitely can't do it without the goddamn Seattle Sounders. So, all you Atlanta United fans, be pissed. I don't care. Choke on a rib, eat, whatever. Yeah.
Well, Caleb, thank you so much for closing us out with a bang. We really appreciate you calling in, and we will come out to Salt Lake at some point. I'm actually really down for that road trip. That sounds like a great time. But appreciate you calling in, and we'll see you soon, man.
Up the bridges. Fuck West Seattle.
Do you want to get that? Or
what is that? All right, yeah, we're gonna start winding it up here because, as Noah mentioned, we do have to check out of here. Thank you, as always, everyone, for tuning in. Please like the video, sub to the channel, and all that. I do want to say Ryan brought up a good point in chat. When we do call-ins, I think let's not get personal with it. Comments about people's weight and stuff. We don't need to do that.
We don't condone
so
that.
I think we're learning how to manage these call-in shows on the fly. But I think if in the future, if anyone's getting below the belt as such, we'll probably cut you off.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're making our ground rules on the fly, and it's a good point, Ryan. We should be mindful of that.
Yeah, we are. We love soccer and we love banter, but these are still real people.
You can dish hot takes without doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Ari and everyone, thank you so much for enjoying this 2-hour stream. We marathoned it so much that we're not going to be able to pod in the hotel room. We're going to have to find a new spot to do that, which is totally fine. But these post-match lives are super fun. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. We will have that new doc out. But in the meantime, if you haven't watched the US Open Cup documentary, please come watch it. It's doing well, but we want it to do even better. So that's that. Ari, do you have anything in closing?
No, that was it. Excited for the vlog for this one to come out, and we'll be back at it next week. Drop Pod will be dropping. Nico and I will be on for kickoff 8 a.m. tomorrow. Don't miss out. And the marathon continues. I think it's FC Dallas at home next weekend, correct?
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, yeah, with that, we're going to get out of here and see you all back in Seattle.
Peace out, everyone.
Don't want to give money to the oligarchs, but love lobbing Scorchers? Do we have a deal for you? MLS Season Pass is back on Apple TV with access to every single MLS match, including Leagues Cup and the entire Audi MLS Cup playoffs with no blackouts. It's not just the games, you get total access to the pre- and post-match MLS 360 whip-around show in both English and Spanish, and get live look-ins and highlights from around the league, as well as full match replays and recaps. Now, you can support our show by visiting lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV to purchase your subscription and support our show.
Lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV. Please, don't let the oligarchs win.